Welcome at the 10th edition of Podcasters. It's our birthday. It's the 10th. With us is Endre Davids. It sounds a bit weird in English, but it's a typical Dutch name. But welcome in our birthday broadcast. Tell us, who are you? What do you do?
Thanks for having me. Great day. A big pleasure as well. Thanks once again. My name is Endre Davids. I'm founder of Seamly. And with Seamly, we are a presentation and integration layer for chatbot technology. I just arrived here in Amsterdam. It's a 45 minutes drive from where I live in, 20 kilometers from Utrecht is where I live with my wife and 2 kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome. And you say Seamly. I was wondering, I never asked you, but is that like for a seamless integration? Was that the idea?
Absolutely. That's where the name came from. Yeah.
Okay, it works. Yeah. And another question I have, of course, I looked at your website and we discussed it a bit. Are you saying that your software is the go-between between what the customer sees and what happens somewhere in the back?
Yeah, so actually what we do is that we supercharge conversational platforms, chatbot technology, where we facilitate integrations to several layers. So those presentation layers, and that could be a website, app, or even Apple Business Chat, Messenger, Instagram. Those are all integrations that we made, and the last integration that we add is even in channel voice, on telephone voice, that is, for smart speech assistants. And in the back, we connect that technology to 50 different applications, backend integrations. So basically,
you're the Zapier between for chatbots technology.
Yeah, that you could see it like that. Absolutely.
I know you have your thoughts about Zapier, but in terms of security, I understand, but I'm just trying to figure out where your proposition is in the market.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if people have or companies have a chatbot and they started a couple of years ago, in previous recordings we sort of, well, we didn't find out, but we concluded that a lot of companies chose technology because it was cheap, or because it was convenient, or it fitted into their digital blueprint. And when they come further in the process, they find out that it can't do what they want it to do, like connect to backend systems, generate reports, et cetera, et cetera. So if a company or a conversation designer who listens to this and is working for a company with a company that has not older, but software that isn't as versatile as a lot of the new propositions on the market, they could use your software. If they have an API, they could use your software to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And even for the newer platforms, that is, because what we see happening quite often is that, for instance, the presentation sites or the interface, the user interfaces, are hardly hardly.
You can say anything here.
Yeah.
We publish it all, so don't worry.
Now, if you look at the look and feel of the brands, then most times, there is so big amount of detail and effort put in on how a brand looks online and how everything works on a website or in the app. But once a conversational interface is being introduced, then it seems that all the skills and eye for detail have been lost, because then you get like a basic interface where maybe 2 colors have been changed, fully in different fonts and fully different interaction ways, buttons that don't come across with your online presence. So if you look at how we line that up with the interface of the surrounding where it's being used, then we put far more effort in that. And secondly, I think one of the biggest challenges nowadays for companies is how do we integrate that chatbot technology, for instance, only with live chat as a first step, but as a second step also with backend integrations where if somebody asks, by the way, what is the monthly amount that I'm paying, or when is the day that my contract is supposed to be renewed, that users aren't obliged to log in and find that out, but just get a simple and straight answer.
And that's where your software comes in.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then they open up the box of Pandora data.
Yeah. And maybe it's nice to explain the 4 steps that we use for that, because and it's slightly hard because we can't show it. But in the first step, you always look at how can we create seamless integrations and handovers between the chatbot technology and an actual person, and that's, for us, that's extremely important. Because
why is that so important?
Because there will always be situations where a conversational platform cannot answer the question.
Well, according to our test, there's a lot of situations where the platform can't answer it.
Absolutely. So in order to prevent, let's say, a negative user experience, let's all try to focus on the positive side and try to surprise the user by saying, oh, that's a great question. I don't have the answer, but I'll make sure that my colleague jumps in. And if that colleague can then take over the conversation where it left off with the, let's say, chatbot.
So a seamless integration.
Absolutely. That's the core of what we do. Then that setup both is beneficial to the end user, but also for the agent. So that's in the basis, we always look at how can we create seamless integrations between conversational platforms and agents. And we do that based on a 4-step approach. And the first step of those 4 steps is, how do we prepare the actual live conversation? Because by just asking 3-4, let's say, easy questions.
Can you give us an example so for the listeners they understand what kind of questions would you ask?
Yeah, so one of our clients is DHL, a big parcel, DHL parcel actually. Well, if we look at what we're going to do on the phone with them, that if a customer calls, then the voice assistant will only ask, oh, what's your question? What is your track and trace number? What's your postal code? Okay, I'm going to put you through to an agent. Making sure that the agent doesn't have to carry out that, let's say, repetitive tasks, which aren't always the easiest or the most challenging part of the conversation. Mind-numbing business. So if we take that out, that saves a lot of time on the phone for the agent and makes the work for the agent nicer as well.
And is the idea then that the voice assistant actually, with your technology behind it, opens up all the backend systems, the CRM of the file of the customer, so that they can immediately look into the system and give the answers?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're not unlocking the data, you're just opening up.
Yeah, showing the data to the agent.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first step is preparing the live conversation. Well, in the second stage, what you can do is then actually answer the received questions as well.
So the first, I'm trying to properly understand. So the first phase is you prepare the information for the agent in order to give a live answer.
Yeah.
And the second stage is that the answer the live agent would give, you would actually take it out of the system and give it back to the customer in the chatbot.
Yeah, and there would be still let's say, generic answer. So if somebody says, "Oh, I want to change my address, how should I do it?" Then the generic answer would be, "Oh, if you log in or if you go to this page, then you'll find a form, whatever." In the third step, then we'll go from generic answers to personalized answers. So if somebody says, "Oh, by the way, when is my contract supposed to be renewed?"
For energy or something.
For energy, or what do I actually pay now on a monthly basis? Then
people know.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll make sure that there's a backend integration where that virtual assistant can extend the generic answer with personal details. So instead of saying, "Oh, if you log in, you'll find it," it will say, "No, I've just found it for you already."
That's stage 3, and what's stage 4?
The fourth step is the last step, where we actually facilitate what we call the mutation processes. If you want to change something, then we'll facilitate that in the conversation as well. So if somebody says, "Oh, I want to extend my contract," or "I would like to change some details," or "I would like to change my address," then the virtual assistant will just say, "Oh, let me do that for you directly. So what are your details?"
So from a chatbot, it turns into a process bot.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. And in our third recording, we had, I think there was a third. We had KPN about chatbot security. How do you manage the data security in all this? Because I think there's a lot of discussion about it, and big companies are scared for data leak, which makes sense. And the more personal data, the more important it gets. Yep. How do you do that?
Yeah.
What do you do differently than other companies in order to make it secure, or very secure, I hope?
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we do differently is that we don't store any conversational data.
Nothing?
No, except from some metadata. So was there a session for reporting purposes?
So you
for
log
instance?
that the customer actually had a conversation.
Yeah, or we checked availability of live chat, or what was the customer feedback. What we don't store the content of the conversation itself. So we don't store the question, we don't store the user data.
The traffic passes through your server.
Yeah, passes through our server, and once the session is ended, we'll delete that as well. Just before deleting it, we can share it back with the client.
What kind of data is that?
That would be the full conversational data.
Oh, so you do store it for a short time.
During the conversation, we'll have the data. Because we'll also show it to the end user, of course. Okay. But once the conversation is terminated, then we'll delete that data as well. So that prevents that we get that we build up a full lake. A full
server full of data.
Absolutely.
Okay, so basically you're the traffic manager.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I presume you secure your servers according to
extreme
ISO and NEN and all kind of standards.
Yeah, we quite of our clients are big corporates. Among them, there are banks. We're working in financial industries, so data security.
Next week we have a bank here.
Oh, that's great!
A big one.
So data security is extremely high on everything we do.
Okay, that's I think that's important. Hey, and it's interesting that you have software. By the way, this is not a commercial show. We're not selling software, but I find it interesting because it opens up opportunities for a lot of conversation designers or chatbot strategists to, when they already have something there, to expand the possibilities without having to implement a new chatbot platform or designing the conversation again, because that costs a lot of time, a lot of money, and usually they're strapped for money and time. So this would speed up the process. So that's why I'm so interested in it. And I think the community should know as well. Where do you see this going? Because you see a lot of platforms now drag and drop. I see a lot of API integrations coming. Not every platform is as secure as it should be. At least that's my opinion. Where is this going? Are we going to like dialogue or a chat layer at the front end, you in between, and then the back end, or are we going more to see more of the integrated platforms that might hurt your business, by the way? Where's this going?
Yeah, I think there are basically three different, well, let's say strategies or scenarios that can be that we can see in the future. First of all, the first strategy is, let's say the platforms that are trying to be the best in everything that they do. So on the conversational platform and the interface, on the on integrations, let's say. We used to call that, let's say, walled gardens. So you'll get access to a garden, but you don't have really any flexibility to do.
If you're everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good description as well.
That's what you were trying to say.
And I think those platforms generically, let's say, maybe they'll score a 6 or a 7. On all the elements that are required. But then you traditionally have, let's say, a single vendor strategy. Oh, let's try to do as much as possible with one vendor, and then we'll just have to manage one contract. But
you see this happening with Microsoft. A lot of Microsoft companies are moving to the Microsoft chatbot, but it's not as easy as it should be to develop.
Yeah, so that's generically speaking, I think you don't get the best of everything that there's available. So the second strategy, and also before you know it, you have quite a big login with one specific vendor, and if you would like to change anything, that's going to be dramatic. I think the second scenario
it's about what the Salesforce of these world are doing. They lock you in, and you need another module, and before you know it, you're paying a lot of money, but it's not yours.
No, not only that, but also the cost of changing is going to be dramatic, because if you want to take something out or you want to add something new, then
your monthly fee goes up.
Yeah.
You need consultants to do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's the first scenario. The second scenario that we'll see is where especially bigger corporates try to develop everything internally. There are even quite some businesses in Holland that do that. However, before you know it, you'll see that the teams are going to be created with 10, 15, 20, or 40 people. All developing all that custom work.
It's so funny because we see that this item coming back. Everybody who thinks having a chatbot lowers your cost at first, that they need to wake up. It doesn't. It goes up first, and then once you're there, then you become scalable. Yeah. That's when you start making the money or saving the money. Yeah. But until then, you're just spending.
Yeah. Yeah, and so and I think and then we'll get to the third scenario is let's combine all the effort, and that's the scenario and the situation where we also add the value, where we work, or any other company, that there are, let's say, tens of clients that say, okay, let's not try to do all this work individually, but let's combine it, and let's use one generic presentation and integration layer where we all benefit from. And I think those are the situations where the adoption and value are extremely accelerated, especially compared to, okay, let's try to do it internally.
Could you point out a field or type of business where you think this is going to kick in first and big time, where they wake up, it's okay, we need to do this, approach this differently in order to be cost effective and efficient in the way we're doing this in the next 5 years?
Yeah, well, I think especially let's say the smarter companies will not try to do it internally, because if you want to do things internally, I think you should, as a company, do a lot of things internally as well, but try to focus on what is your core business and what should you actually do internally. And well, one of our clients, a big insurance company, told me a year and a half ago that 5 years ago they started to build their own live chat platform.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Why?
My
I don't know.
mind is blowing up right now.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Some hobbyist internally that says we can do this better, more efficiently, or someone in the IT department that says, no, if we build it, it's secure.
Probably,
like that?
Or let's just start to do it because it's fun. Or we couldn't find the right solution that matched all our criteria.
Well, if you can't find it, you can't build it.
Absolutely, yeah. And then maybe you shouldn't, especially as an insurance company, then you shouldn't build it.
No.
So I'm not against building software internally, but build the software that actually adds value for your company.
To your core.
On your core.
That gives you a difference in the marketplace. It gives you a blue ocean strategy instead of a red ocean strategy.
Yeah.
I totally agree. You should have out-of-the-box software and not try to tailor it to your needs, but, figure out a way to do it with the software you have and not, change your processes maybe, because the cost is extraordinary. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And how do you see your company or your software in that field develop? Because basically what you're saying is one of the strategies where they need you really, really badly. Do you see that currently happening already in the way the amount of customers you're getting and the type of customers you're getting?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think once again there are three different directions. So there are a lot of clients that select us because they're looking at the challenges for orchestration of data. Okay, how do we connect this? What we just bought, data problem, data issues, but also especially on the integration side. Secondly, on the interface side, okay, how do we create an extremely good user interface? And I think a couple of shows ago, you tested Efteling with quite some remarks on the interface. Well, I'm not sure if you knew, but that's an interface that we provided for them.
Well, they had I was really impressed by the, as I said in that show, I had a training from the Efteling, hospitality training, where I was impressed with the way they put the feeling, basically their company culture in the bot, where as a consumer, if you go into the bot, they give you the same feeling as in the park, which is extremely well done. Yeah. So kudos for them. Yeah. But then something happened where who was our guest then? He warned in his previous talks, like, we need to have integration between channels. And so if one channel isn't working or we can't give the answer, you need to have a seamless handover to the next channel. Yeah. And then in both bots we tested, there was no seamless handover. There was no one available. Yeah. And they didn't offer an alternative. Well, the alternative is really, really easy. Yeah. Just leave your details and we'll call you back. Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, so and that's one of the last steps that needs to be taken because there is.
You told them.
Yeah. We spoke with Efteling. We speak quite often with them.
They're changing it.
Well, there is already a seamless handover to a live chat agent.
I know, but there was no one available, and they didn't give me an alternative.
Yeah, so that's something that's being put on a roadmap because if you look at those handovers to agents, then there are also different ways you can do that. Of course, we always focus on a seamless handover to a live chat agent. But if
there's one available,
absolutely. But with the right skills, even. Yeah. But if there isn't one available, then secondly, we look at is there asynchronous agent available? So can we introduce messaging?
Yeah. Or email or whatever.
And the third stage indeed is email, where we just ask for some additional info so that a ticket can be created. And based on the ticket info, that one reply for the company will cover it as an email.
What I would assume, I have big kids, so I don't go to the Efteling anymore. Maybe in the future I will go again, but grandchildren, not there yet. What I would assume is that if I can't get anybody in the live chat, or there's no way to have a contact right now. If you go back to the chat or email, I need to do something. Why don't you just connect me to WhatsApp and just send me a message in WhatsApp? Because it's possible from the platform, shouldn't be a problem. And just tell me, click here and we can do the live chat now. Or the answer to your question is X, Y, Z. Or just tell me when you want to chat, and then you leave a time, and basically it should be possible. Yeah. Why don't you go? Maybe they're planning that step. I don't know, but I would assume get as close to the customer as you can.
Yeah. So WhatsApp is an example of a messaging channel, of course. So and that would be the second availability that we check that we can do. There are quite some clients of ours that have messaging already introduced in their app, or in my environments of a website, for instance.
Yeah, but don't you hate it to log in order to communicate? I find it extremely annoying.
Yeah, but if you look at that, if we look at an example of a client for us where you already have a conversation in the app where you already were logged in, then
that's a different story. But
isn't the additional step to be taken?
But the Efteling, for instance, we had a conversation on the website. And then it would be ideal to go to WhatsApp and not have me log in somewhere, because banks, they send messages in their apps. You know how many people read those? Very few, and most people have like the number is that you have 99 messages, and none of them read because they're stupid interest. Most of the messages are not relevant, so people stop reading them. Yeah, they're like, oh, there's another one not relevant. They only want the yearly report.
I think that is one of the challenges that will come across with for all the companies that are active, is how do you facilitate actual interesting conversations with your clients, even when you are proactive in that area.
So you're talking about relevance.
Absolutely.
That's difficult. Right. So how do you? That's a good thing you brought that up. So let's dive into relevance. So how do you think companies can make themselves relevant in a chatbot, or more relevant than now?
Well, if we look from the customer service perspective, I think one of the main shifts that are going to be taking place is proactive messaging based rather than reactive messaging.
I totally agree. You have me there, because one of the big projects I did was outbound chatbot, where you take the initiative as a company, and customers are positively overwhelmed by surprise, and they're like, "Hey, this is cool."
Yeah, but not only based on user behavior, because I assume that was the trigger.
That was data driven, basically, and everything was personalized.
Yeah, but if let's say if my router from my Wi-Fi router is getting stuck, or the performance levels is slightly lower than expected, or regularly than expected, and than it should be, why not have my internet provider send me proactively the message saying, "Hey, I see that your router is struggling. What I'll do tonight between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, we'll reset it. Is that okay for you, or do you actually need it? Because
are you uploading or downloading something?"
Yeah. So let me do that for you, rather than we'll get to the point where the network is going to have show some failures, and that the user the client gets frustrated, saying, "Well, it doesn't work. Let me call that company." And
I totally agree, because now you're looking for, okay, is there a problem? Is there a defect somewhere? And you go to the website, but the internet isn't working properly. Just send me a WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And a bot where I can ask that question. It could only just be transmitting.
Yeah, but also let not the user take all the initiatives. Once we'll get there, what can you do as a company to prevent that we'll actually get there?
Around.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Is that the direction we're moving, or the direction you're moving to not push, but motivate your clients or your potential clients to be proactive with their data? Because your platform allows them to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the main challenges, where we traditionally as companies will just have a look at, we'll just accept the fact that clients have questions. Yeah. I think the next step is okay, how do we actually prevent that our clients get in the situation that they have a question, and what can we do as companies to prevent that?
I totally agree, but you do understand that if you do that, you're also attacking a business model of some other companies. Because there are companies that have an interest in a customer service department that is as big as possible, because they're selling that service.
Yeah.
So you'd be disrupting their business.
Yeah.
Which is not a problem in itself, but I think companies are scared to do that, because they don't know what happens next. It's like uncharted territory.
Yeah, but from the other side, all the companies do look at, let's say, a daily, monthly basis on what is the NPS score of our clients, and why are they not satisfied, and if they have to call us, why are the queues so long?
I have a problem with the NPS bit, I have to be honest, because if you work in a business where the customer is used to give 8s as a very high number, if you work with academically schooled customers, they usually don't give 9s and 10s, because they're not, because in their head, a 9 or 10, or you must be a scholar. So if they gave 8s, they're extremely satisfied, but you're assuming they're not satisfied, or not,
it's not extreme,
not relevant enough. So I think depending on the environment, NPS is not always the solution.
Absolutely.
And you should ask customers to, if you give an 8, is that a high mark for you, or it's just in Dutch we have a word duiding. Give it relevance and ask about the number they give or the because they don't do that in the NPS score. They just assume it's true.
Yeah, so I think it's always better not to ask for a figure, but for the description.
But most companies ask for a number.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty risky because we all give numbers from our own perspective.
Exactly. So what does it say? So did we just kill NPS? You can say yes. Or are we not making friends?
Yeah. No, but I think.
You understand this will be on socials where we say we just killed NPS.
Let's do so. Let's go for that.
Let's go. Yeah, we'll do that.
No, but if we go back to your question, will we be killing different business models then?
Not that I care.
I think we all, as companies, we all try to pay as much respect as we can, or we should pay as much respect for our clients.
But I totally agree. This is what we should do. Then why are so many chatbots? If they can't give you the answer, they don't give you the phone number of the company to call them, because that's the next step. If you don't have live chat, help me out. I'm stuck here,
yeah.
And they're avoiding to get you on the phone because that's costly and inefficient and blah 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 blah. But it's what the customer wants,
yeah.
Or he wants an answer, and if you can't give it to him in the bot, then he seeks an alternative.
Yeah.
Why are so many companies then ducking, or how do you say that?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons for that is that a lot of companies introduce chatbot platforms because what we want to do is actually prevent other means of contacts that are being. So we want
to talk to the customer,
calls.
but they don't want to talk to the customer.
No, let a digital colleague do that, and I think that's the wrong approach to do so, because I think if you introduce conversational technology, then it's okay that the conversational technology will talk to the client, but if it can't, make sure that the client is still being assistant in trying to achieve its goal, rather than getting stuck. Yeah. And frustrated.
And I see a lot of bots where that happens.
Yeah.
And there's no solution, or there's no solution yet.
No, so there's still quite some work to be done. And I think one of the interesting things that we're going to be building is that even if you're in a chatbot conversation and you'll try to call, you would like to call the company, that will also take the chatbot history of the conversation and combine that with the call itself.
I totally agree, and especially if you can detect what the conversation is about, in the sense that it's a certain topic and there are certain questions, or there's a certain order of questions that you need to ask or go through in order to help the customer, then it's ideal. Yeah. And I think you can help the customer in a very efficient way. Makes life easier for everybody. Want some more water, by the way?
Yes, please.
We do it all on live on the show.
Yeah, so I think that if you introduce this type of technology, you should always look on how you can add value for the end client, for the company, but also for the agent. And
how do you balance that? How do you balance that?
I think using common sense works extremely well already.
But it's your common sense, not necessarily common sense of because there's so many political, for the companies, but there's always a lot of political interests inside the company where one thinks he might be more important than the other one. And as an external supplier, you need to, manage your way through those interests and make everybody happy. How do you balance that? How do you get through?
I think one of the main things how you can balance that is showing great examples and creating awareness that things can be used differently than that they are used at this moment.
Their own technology, you mean?
Yeah, and showing inspiration, maybe even showing a case. That the effect of that is still that there is an awareness created where, oh, maybe we should not accept the way it works today.
But isn't that a thing? And I've discussed it in earlier recordings. A challenge on C-level where they have no idea if you take a blank piece of paper, what the options are, how far you could go with this, and still make the customer extremely happy, and but not necessarily in the beginning saving cost, but having an extreme scalable company.
Yeah.
In good and in bad times, and because I really feel that companies should not lay off people with knowledge or experience, because we know in a year and 2 years time it will turn around and be better, and then they need to hire all those people who are doing something else. And it's hard and it costs a lot of money. I think it's more expensive to fire and hire than to just keep them hired.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for C-level, but to be honest, I don't think that a lot of C-level members actually decide what, on a project based or on an initiative base, is actually being selected to be achieved.
I agree, but shouldn't they? How shall I say this respectfully? Have more vision and knowledge about it, because it could be such a game changer.
I think from my perspective, the C-level should create, let's say, a framework.
Yeah, framework, budget.
A framework with targets and budgets, but also especially a way of working that inspiration, new ideas are embraced, rather than keep on doing what we've done in the last couple of years.
I agree, but how would you do that? Because they usually lean on the knowledge of people in their company, and if there's someone who doesn't like chatbots, then the person says no, or very simple, and you're not getting the max of what you could have. So how do you give them inspiration?
Yeah, I think one of the ways to achieve that is with working with the right, let's say, customer service managers, team managers. Let's say, make sure that.
How do they know? Because they only know afterwards, and then it's already too late.
Yeah, but it's one of the, well, at least one of the
questions. I know.
Yeah, one of the ways that we do it is share a lot of inspiration online. So we hardly talk about our company. What we do though is we show the examples of. Well, this is a challenge that one of our. This is a challenge in telco. This is how it used to work. This is the example or the solution that was being used, and that creates an awareness and also a higher ambition in the market quite rapidly already.
You know, I think what there should be. We'll talk to Hans van Dam about this. He's actually the next one that becomes live. That's the CEO of Conversation Design Institute.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him this question, but I'll call him and ask him this question. Why isn't there a C-level course, maybe not on conversational, but how do you manage channels? And on C-level, you should think about this. It's strategy.
Yeah.
And it's cost, it's long-term cost and benefit, of course. It's not there.
Well, maybe one of the newer C-level roles is, well, quite some companies have, let's say, a CIO for innovation, for instance. But I think one of the roles that should be created is, let's say, a more inspirational role. Okay, how should we start doing things differently? Because if you keep on doing what you've done,
then you get what you get what you had.
Yeah, and then maybe you'll grow 5%, or maybe 20%, or maybe even 25%.
Maybe.
But
that's luck.
But that's luck. Or but let's say if you're
Market.
if you're fully in a new market, then the percentages may be different.
But that's autonomous growth. That's not
Autonomous growth. And then you get something more than you traditionally had. But how do you make sure that running the daily business as good as you can, but also preparing the new daily business for the new developments and the new days that are coming? Well, I think that's a more inspirational role that should be created, and make yourself, which will keep you as a company future proof.
Quite a while ago, I worked with a guy who he worked for a large ICT company, and his role was to I was chief innovation officer. And what he actually did, he was like, okay, let's assume that nothing what we do now makes money in 5 years' time. So what do we need to develop, which competence or technology, in order to make money in 5 years' time? So he was experimenting left and right. He had a blast because he could do whatever he wanted, had staff to do it and money to do it. And he said, from all the experiments we do, we know one of them succeeds on average, and that will make us is big money in 5 years' time. And we know one of the things we're doing right now will probably be gone. That's an interesting way of working, but that requires a lot of money, a lot of longevity, because in your strategy it should be a pillar.
Yeah.
And in most strategies that I read, it's a word. It's not a pillar.
No.
It's we need to innovate. Yeah, but then if you look at the budget, there is no serious budget to do it.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing. I think if you look at chatbot and chatbot technology, the innovation shouldn't be at the company level. It should be at the suppliers level who make the chatbot technology or the chatbot platforms, like your company does. And they should help the companies move their boundaries. And that's why I ask, how do you inspire C-level? And I think there's too little of it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help. We can make a broadcast with some inspiring people to inspire just C-level, or invite some C-level guests, and then how do you want to be inspired? Just ask them.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think is also with chatbots. Just ask the customer. He's there.
Yeah.
That's what in all the project I did. It's like we always asked the customer, how happy are you? How easy was it? And then what you see is that they have the answers. It's not internally. The customer has the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can try to figure out those answers internally, and then you do a workshop or two, and then you'll spend, let's say, a couple of hours or a couple of days, and you'll have
thousands of euros.
Yeah. And then you have 80 ideas, and then you'll, let's say, build 5. Or but are those 5 also the biggest the biggest value for the end user? That's not always the case. But if you ask them,
did you ever look at no, I should ask the question differently. Do you apply applied psychology in what you do, in the way you look at things, or the way you help your customers? The reason I'm asking is, if you look at the model of Hooked by Neriel, you must know this. Oh, now he understands that. He did a lot of research on this. On this shit, I wanted to say, but that's not appropriate. On this stuff, and he basically looked at also at Facebook and Twitter and all these platforms. Why are people coming back?
Yeah,
and that's why it's called Hooked. They have all these technologies and processes to get you hooked on the software and use it. And basically, it's free for you, so they're making money on you. There is a business model there, and they need you to be hooked. Whereas if you are, a person is your customer and they're paying you money for your products or your services, it's not a problem to get them hooked because, they're paying for it. Yeah. So they're not the business model. The product is the business model. And interestingly enough, I'm trying to find the hooked model in chatbots. I didn't find it yet. And there's too much frustration still. In order for people to get hooked. Whereas ideally you want people to say, okay, this is such a cool channel. 95% of my questions, I get answers instantly, quick. It doesn't matter when I ask it. It should be the ideal way to go. That's what I mean, hooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think the reason for that is that most chatbot solutions are still, well, let's say on a customer service domain, or maybe on a, let's say, relatively small task.
yeah, but that's good, right? Because it's focus.
It's good, but one of the next challenges I think will get you in maybe 2 or 5 years' times is that the virtual assistant will be sort of personalization of your brand, where we all know the concierge in, let's say, in the high-end
Apartment
hotels,
buildings, yeah,
or
hotels.
apartment buildings,
in New York.
That's your first go-to person for anything that you want to get arranged. And I think in a couple of years, hopefully, there will be quite some virtual assistants already available as a first go-to person, where maybe the role for that virtual assistant is even bigger than the corporate website.
But isn't on a meta level, Alexa, for instance, already trying to do that as a voice assistant, where basically if you look ahead, okay, now you can turn on your lights on and off, and your washing machine, I don't know what else, your alarm. But the next step is you can already order food or groceries, or that it's connected to your fridge, and it analyzes, okay, you took this out or that out, and it automatically asks you, it's like, okay, I noticed that you have no milk and no Coca-Cola in your fridge. Shall I order?
Yeah, I think as Alexa is on the forefront.
That's as an example.
Yeah, but that's on. I think they're on the forefront of where we're going to. But also, one of our other clients is one of the biggest gyms in Europe, actually. The virtual assistant of the gym could also be more, let's say, be more of a coach for the client, saying, okay.
That's actually a cool idea.
Yeah, Andre. So we scheduled training for tonight, but I see that you got another meeting scheduled in your agenda. What shall I do? Shall I reschedule the training session into tomorrow morning, or do you want to you still want an additional training just before your scheduled dinner?
It tells you when to eat, because if you eat too short,
it tells you what you eat. It tells you what practices to do. So those virtual assistants will be able
they
to
should
do
connect to the machines as well, because then you get that data feedback, because it's all about data.
There is already an initiative where indeed on a personal level, all the trainings and exercises are being monitored per person, per machine. And I think if we can combine all that data, that is going to be, well, then that virtual assistant is your first go-to person for health, activeness, etc.
I just came up with a weird idea. It's like, that if you go to a casino, there's these machines where you can put in a card, and it puts the wins or the loss, takes it out, where you have a value on it. What if you would wear a Fitbit and it sees that you're getting a certain excitement in your heartbeat, or you're sweating, and it says, okay, this is the level where your mind is making the wrong decisions, because we know there's a certain level where, and that's exactly where they make the money, that your head starts making that non-rational decisions. I can win, where you know you can't win. And it records how much you made or lost. And, you just set a limit, and it starts warning you and telling, no, you need to stop. Because I think that would be really cool, help a lot of people.
It will be really interesting how you can, well, how you can combine
data. It's a thought experiment what we're doing.
Yeah, but how can you combine data and emotions?
Cool.
And that's what you see, of course, in a lot of sports already happening. So why not? Well, why not for casino visitors?
Yeah.
But then you'll be disrupting the world of casinos.
Yeah, and make a lot of people who are addicted unhappy, but that's another, because the
No,
next
but
thing would be is like Big Brother's watching you now. We're blocking, you can't do anything anymore because your emotions are too high and you're not taking rational decisions. So I don't think it'll ever happen because too many people will be unhappy. But yeah, and also in healthcare, you could see this kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where people who have, but for instance, if you have diabetes, if you're too high in emotions, that does something to your diabetes. No, you could actually be ahead of that and then have a warning. It's like, okay, you're being emotional now. Yeah. We know in an hour's time your sugar levels are going up or down or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool down.
Yeah, and make sure if you look at the what the Internet of Things can do on that level, saying, oh, your blood sugar is this, then act now, or you should not act, rather than, let's say, the old traditional way, saying, okay, every several hours or days, I need to do something, but that is not based on actual personal data, but that's based on general group data, where, well, regularly speaking, this is the best approach. So let's do that. But not everybody fits in the regular general group.
Oh, a lot of people don't, but no. We prefer they do because it makes life easier.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And if you look at something that happened in your life or in your business where you saw, okay, they're doing this in a certain way, but wouldn't it be great if they had a chatbot solving my problem, or a process bot, or is there anything where you think, okay, this is open territory, uncharted territory, they need to change this, and this is one of the solutions? Could be a solution. Is there anything you can think? I'm trying to, something visionary maybe.
Well,
we're trying to inspire here.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the solutions that we thought about, and we're not going to build this ourselves, so I'm really happy to share that with you. But
you want someone else to build it?
That would be great. And I think maybe there are certain initiatives in that area already. But if we look at, I told in the intro I have 2 kids, but of course we create a lot of memories. We make quite some photos as well. Every now and then we go on a trip, but creating a photo album, I think that we all have that, because it's a hassle. It's a lot of data that you need to go through. Or a lot of photos that you need to go through. Google
Photos already presents you with a proposition of, hey, we could make a photo book of this, and you could order it.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the things where data or technology can help the user quite a lot. Because the initiative that I thought of is that why isn't there a virtual assistant of, let's say, one of the producers for photo albums, that if I tell that virtual assistant, oh, I'm going to go on a trip, well, from this day till that day with, let's say, my family, that every day it will just ask me to perform a small task. Share the 2 best pictures of today.
And you could send it in WhatsApp.
Just send them in WhatsApp, update, maybe even in a group app where
everybody is contributing and you make a family album.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually a good idea.
Because creating, how do you make that big, at the end of a holiday, into a really easy small step on a daily business?
No step, because you share the photos anyway with your family.
Yeah, but selecting the best photo of the, let's say, 10 photos that are made today is an easy task.
Yeah, but of 200 or 500 photos, you're like, yeah, right, not now.
No, not now, because now I got other things to do.
And you end up not ever.
Yeah, and especially the context is interesting for that, because if you're on a holiday, and then, let's say, spending 20 seconds or maybe a minute a day is easy because you get the time. If you go back to, let's say, your normal life, then
you have no time.
There's no time left. And then creating the photo album is a lot of work, a hassle, and indeed it doesn't get fixed anymore. You don't do it anymore, and I think technology would be able to help users in making small life decisions and creating small tasks that have a higher impact, because then at the end of the holiday, you could just say, oh, all your previous selected photos.
You're basically applying the project management truths to real life.
Mm-hmm.
Break it down to small tasks.
Yeah.
And it becomes easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doable.
Yeah. And I think that works for a lot of businesses.
Why are you not building it? I know, because you're focusing on Seamly.
I think from personal perspective, you can only be good in let's say one thing, or the less different things you do, the higher the chances that you can be the best in what you are doing. So
shouldn't you be with Seamly the go-between between Google Photos or the Apple application? I don't have an iPhone, so for instance WhatsApp or other software where you make the photo album, and be the go-between and understand what the customer needs.
Yeah, well, maybe in one day. Well, maybe the example that you just shared, where company thinks about, okay, what should we be doing in 5 years' time? Maybe we'll do that in 5 years' time.
Well, it's basically you use your standard platform. It's not, you don't have to build something new.
No, so that's still an interesting view, and I think creating those small tasks, well, be it for photos or being it on different levels, where maybe somebody would like to, let's say, work on his fitness or on energy costs, or write a book. Why not write, let's say, every day 5 sentences, and
use AI to write the rest.
Yeah, or build a storyline.
Exactly.
So how do you? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges and solutions that technology will be able to provide us with, is create big steps in by changing smaller steps on a daily business.
That's people can grasp that. If it's too big, it's just it's also too big, a bigger chance in failing.
Yeah.
But also for the adoption, if it's in small steps, it's easier for people to, okay, it's not that different from what I'm doing. And slowly, you're moving to something new.
Yeah.
Interesting thought. Hey, you brought with you 2 chatbots to test.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you selected them for a reason.
Well, I selected 2. Well, actually, indeed, I selected 2. First of all is the GEM, which is the virtual assistant of the municipality. This mouse isn't for...
it is because it was... here it is.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, it was... so the first one is GEM, which is the virtual assistant of... I think it's... Municipality of a specific city in the Netherlands.
For the people who are watching in English and are not native Dutch speakers, this bot is in Dutch, so we'll translate for you what we see.
Yeah.
So you understand if you're looking what you're looking at.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this virtual assistant is that there are a lot of different municipalities that combined, let's say, their efforts, saying, okay, how can we create one bot that works the same for all the different municipalities? Because
that makes actually a lot of sense, because they have the same services.
They have the same services. Let's say 95% of all the answers will be exactly the same, maybe 70%, but they're, in generally speaking, all the answers are pretty similar,
or the way they answer it, not maybe the content, but
exactly, and maybe so there's a lot of there are a lot of similarities, and I think there are also already a couple of different municipalities working with this platform. So we're now on the homepage of Tilburg.
Okay,
and it shows a couple of big buttons on hi, if you want to make an appointment, or when my
Request it.
garbage is supposed to be picked up.
Or request a new ID or driver's license or passport.
Yeah. So then in the bottom, there is a, well, let's say text
Bit hidden.
saying, okay, if you would like to get in contact with the municipality, well,
It could say the municipality of Tilburg.
yeah, absolutely. But let's say what it does if we go to that specific page, then well, there's an intro, a contact.
You can reach us. You can
reach us by. Oh, if you want to say something about your neighborhood, or you can visit us, or you can write us by sending us an email with even the address on it.
Complain.
You can call us. You can app us. Well, there are different social media.
And
there it is.
A virtual assistant.
Yeah, the virtual assistant is there to.
Why wouldn't they start with that?
I think. I don't know.
I don't know. They must have thought about this.
I don't know, but what does surprise me is that it's actually the 4 last contact opportunity, and the last one for the ones that can't see it is if you have a press question, which then you can
phone number.
Then you can call them. So there are, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The 13th option is the virtual assistant.
Okay.
Also, on the right-hand side below, there's chatbot icon where with content, ask your question. So I assume that if we click on this link,
that opens it.
Well, let's see. Virtual assistant. Okay, doesn't open it. We're being taken to a new page. Oh, and in this page, a description is being given on what the virtual assistant does.
So it says, as of November 2020, you could, for questions, use the digital help GEM. I think GEM is the name of the chatbot.
Yeah.
You get an answer immediately. And then indeed it explains what a virtual assistant is. That's actually very good. But then there's no virtual assistant.
Let's go back to the page. Oh, the virtual assistant is there to answer your question. More about the virtual assistant.
But no link to the virtual assistant. No. That's really weird.
Yeah, and it didn't say here, where we should activate it then. But I assume that it means that we should click on this one. Okay. So now we open the conversation.
Okay. It says, hi, I'm Jem, chatbot of the municipality, not municipality of Tilburg, but in general. Mm-hmm. Think about your privacy. Don't share any personal data. What can I help you with? Should we ask it a weird question? Come on, that's up your alley. Ask it a weird question, because it doesn't say, can you help me anything related to the municipality? It just say, what can I help you with?
Yeah, and that's a pretty small enhancement that should be taken as well. Making sure that the user is guided in what it can or what cannot do. Also, what I'm missing here is that it now shows the open question. What can I help you with?
A few buttons would help.
A few buttons with, let's say, where 80% of all the situations are already covered.
You're guiding them.
You're guiding the user, making sure that, with the click of a button, you know what the intent of a user is. So the whole intent analysis is being automated, simplified as well. But
so ask them a weird question, and something that might be, I don't know, about the vaccination or something. When can I get my booster in Dutch, of course, something like that.
Okay.
Let's see if it.
1 year. Let's say.
Okay. And this is really weird because It says now you want to know what happens. You want to know when what happens?
Yeah, I
for
think-
which subject?
I think it's
Or
I
when?
think it's triggered because we're asking when do I get my booster. Then I think it's triggered on the when do I get. So it says, oh, you want to know when something will happen, on which subject do you want to know something about? Requesting a passport, requesting ID, requesting a driving license, changing your address.
So they can work with buttons, but they just put them in the wrong place
Well, or at least they could have shown them
before.
on the intro as well.
Yeah. So let's try iets anders, something different. Let's see what happens. And now the buttons disappear. There's no way back.
No, so you can't. That's unfortunately.
Here we go. Oh my God, that's so much. It says you need to speak to for something else. They don't know what it is, but we need to speak to an employee anyway. Live chat is closed. It's available on working days from 9 to 5. And then it says how to call them, blah, 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 or to WhatsApp them. And check the page on the website named Contact for more possibilities. We talked about that before.
And we are already on that page, by the way.
Exactly.
Still, yeah.
So it doesn't know where we are.
No.
So there is some room for improvement, and there's
yeah. Then it says, can I help you with something else?
And then it says a button, give your opinion, but
Let's say I have another question because it asks.
Yeah, let's see.
If it can help me with something else. Ik heb nog een vraag.
So we ask him, I have another question, and then it says, good, of course. What can I help you with?
No, that's pretty nice.
Just try with 1 or 2 words, because if you followed the podcast, we challenge, do we need to learn how to talk to a machine, or does the machine need to learn how to talk to us? And we use the regular sentence up to now. Let's try just 1 or 2 words that gives them the intent.
Yeah.
And
so let's ask them when passport pickup. Those are 3 words that I'm submitting, at least.
Okay.
What we can do. What do you mean? When is the passport ready? Oh, when is the passport ready? It's shown twice.
Help with a passport question differently. It's interesting, because why did they have the same option twice? Something went wrong in the back.
Yeah.
So we pressed, when is the passport ready?
The funny thing, by the way, is that the text of the button is almost similar to my question, except with the exemption of is that's being added.
It says usually your passport is ready after 5 days in the city store or basically the office where you requested it. You receive a text message on your cell phone as soon as it's ready to be picked up, and you can pick it up during opening hours, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And that's it. There's nothing underneath.
No, apparently.
And then it stops. That's
then it stops.
Well, let's try and type something.
Then it's still typing. Yeah, can I help you with something else again? Shall we give our feedback?
Give feedback.
Yeah, because it asks for feedback.
And we're no fans of NPS.
Ik ben interested in your opinion. What do you think of our conversation? Have you been helped? Great.
The answer is could be better, I guess. So try could be better. Let's see what happens. That sounds like we could improve something. Where did it go wrong? That's interesting. How did they probably just read the text?
I think so. Yeah, because it's not structured.
You know what we should do? Leave them a message. Check the podcasters podcast. See if they have a look.
Check the. Let's start. Let's keep on typing this in Netherlands then.
Sorry. We'll tag him in when we post it. Where we tested this live.
Thanks for your response.
Okay, cool. Let's see if they actually respond.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
you know,
Nice.
Gemeente Tilburg, we hereby challenge you to come back with a response. And if you need help, we're there for you.
Let's see if let's
Hold on,
see
they have English. See if the chatbot actually changes, if Jam changes to English.
Yeah, but what I also wanted to check. Oh, now if I'm going to another page,
Chatbot is gone.
where is my conversation with Jam?
And it's,
Apparently, it's only
it's back.
there. It is. But if I'm going to, let's say, schedule appointment meeting.
It's gone. You can't do it on Jam.
Okay, so
Let's see what happens if you change to English. Contact English.
English. Okay.
Contact?
Appointment.
Contact, maybe?
Contact English. Visit us. Write us. Call us. App us. Social media.
Okay, so no chatbot. How easy is it to make the chatbot in English?
Yeah.
But in Tilburg, I can imagine they don't have extreme amounts of English-speaking people, maybe?
No, maybe not only English, but
Some other languages.
probably some other languages already. And well,
What's at least, it's good that they actually give the website in English and give a phone number where you can app.
yeah. Is it okay if I click on this?
Yeah, see what happens.
Opens. Oh, okay. So, that's strange as well.
What does it try to pick an application? Which one? WhatsApp?
No, not even.
So what is it opening?
Oh, let's open.
It doesn't know what it's looking for.
No, but that's strange. So, if you would like to app them, then a phone number is being shown. But what they could do as well, create a WhatsApp URL of this phone number where actually a WhatsApp conversation is already being initiated. Now it would try to call this number, which is pretty weird, but
Especially if you're doing it from your computer.
yeah.
That makes no sense at all. Okay, Gemeente Tilburg, there is room for improvement, but as you said, that's probably because they work with some standardized software, which is...
That's what I assume, yeah.
It looks like one size fits many.
Yeah.
And, you now push the button to download the chat.
Yeah, so I can download the chat.
This is your professional curiosity, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I figured as much. Open the file, see what it looks like. So we downloaded. Oh my god!
Oh, let's almost. How do you? Oh yeah, that's what I want to say. A notepad file is being shown.
Oh my god!
But the strange thing is, I wouldn't do it like this because
you can change it.
We can still change content.
Yeah. So basically, for the people who are listening, we got a download. It's called Chat Text. It doesn't have a date in it. It doesn't have anything in it. Our time. So for logging purposes, it's useless. Yeah. And we can change anything. There should have been a PDF with the details, contact details of the Gemeente Tilburg on it. Just saying, okay, we had this conversation. Here it is.
And it's an actual old notepad file with no styling at all. But yeah.
Yeah, it looks horrible. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Gemeente Tilburg. If you need help, we're here. Sorry. Couldn't help myself. Okay. You brought another one. Let's stop Gemeente Tilburg. You chose another one?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Yeah, the another one was Chris from Singapore Airlines. Yeah, and maybe that's
we're going
easier.
Really international. You know that we have to visit them, right?
Let's do so. Let's
do that.
Either way, if we're critical or we have a lot of compliments,
I think we should be invited. They need to send us a ticket, and we'll bring our equipment there and record something there.
Cool.
Okay, let's start this.
Okay, so here we are on the page. Chris, the chatbot, bot that's always here for you. Meet Chris, the friendly Singapore Airlines chatbot who has been trained to help you with a range of common travel topics such as baggage allowance, lounge eligibility, status of waitlisted flights, and many more. Okay, so there's a content page. Nicely presented, I must say.
Yeah, because they also they have different ways of where you can talk to the bot.
Yeah, but also visually presented pretty nicely in what Chris can do or cannot do, or at least not specifically what it cannot do, but especially a lot of info on what it does. Always here.
You can do it in your browser or Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, real links. So let's see, and there, here's on the right hand side below. There's also got a question.
I would have loved they put WhatsApp next to it, because then they have your commercially seen. They have your phone number, and they they can send you push messages if you allow them.
Yeah, and to be honest, what I just saw with the Gemeente Jam as well, what I'm critical about, or let me put it differently.
Yeah, you want the ticket, so you need to put it friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to do with this as much as compliments as I can. No, not at all. But why do we always have to click on something if we want to communicate with the virtual assistant? Why isn't the virtual assistant already available on the page saying, "Here I am.
Yeah.
What can I do for you?"
That's one of the in one of the meetings we had or recordings we had was the discussion if that was when we tested BlenderBot, because what you see there is basically a website going conversational.
Yeah,
and we know a Dutch insurance company ASR tried that, and they came back from it. I think they were too early, because it was a really good concept.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem. It's just not ready.
Yeah, but but already on the customer side, on a customer service domain, there could already be a window here where you can have the conversation with Chris already,
guiding you through the page, but also maybe what you've seen with Efteling as well last time is that there was like already a conversational window with Pennevier, which is
included on the page. And if you move as a company from the button conversation where you need to press a button before the conversation starts,
it's an effort,
rather to the conversation that is included in a page, you'll get about 10 times as more conversations if it's being included in the page.
Well, that's reason enough.
I would say so.
Let's open Chris up.
Yeah, let's open Chris up. Got a question. Chat on your browser.
Okay. Hold on. It says Chris, and then it says chat with SQ. Who's SQ?
Yeah, that's indeed
I think that's a mistake.
I think it should be. By processing with this chat, what I see is that this is a whole big blank chat window where, if we look at the content page, a lot of effort has been put in design of the content page,
explaining what Chris can do.
But now we just get a big privacy
rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations that we need to accept.
Yeah, terms and conditions using our website. Also, that's interesting. They integrated the privacy policy of the website in the chatbot, not in the website where you normally would accept the cookies.
Yeah, absolutely. But
that's interesting.
There are 3 different URLs with privacy descriptions. Let's assume that they've been set up properly. Now,
and Chris is still called. Oh, this is interesting. Chat with SQ, and then it starts. Hello, I'm Chris, Singapore Airlines chatbot. We can chat about your booking, baggage, check-in, or any questions you may have about Singapore Airlines, which is good. Here's a tip: you may type in your questions, but keep it short and simple, or choose a commonly asked topic below. This is interesting because you've seen a lot of chatbots. Either they say, "Give me a full sentence," or that is the chatbot learning how to talk to people.
Yeah.
Or here, where they say, keep it short, basically, human, try to speak computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here, what they do well is the buttons.
Yeah, buttons are being shown.
Book or amend trip, travel advisories, flying with us, Chris, flyer, PPS, club support, info and baggage, other FAQs. Shall we type a question and try them? Can I book a KLM flight? Let's see if they... We tried with KLM if we could could hire a car.
What did it say?
The system sort of broke down on us, which is not a stupid question.
Yeah.
but it just couldn't handle it.
You can book a flight on our website to travel to a destination where we do not operate as long as we have partner airlines. Click here, and then a URL is being shown for information on a partner ready to book. Click here between brackets.
It's interesting. The click here is not clickable.
No. It's reading flights on Star Alliance. You click here once again. A URL between brackets. It would be great to hear from you. How can I improve? What would you like? Would you like to give us feedback?
Yeah. Yes. Please check out our podcast. Wait, we're going to do this again.
No, let's do that. Let's first go through another journey.
Okay. Try one. Which one?
Oh, that's strange.
You still have the options?
I still have the options.
Which is good.
Yeah, but
the yes no button. This is interesting because the yes no button. There's at the end, it will be great to hear from you how I can improve. Would you like to give us your feedback? Then it gives a yes or no button, and then you scroll back up in the chatbot. You need to be in the chatbot, and then the yes no button stays like it's over
fixed.
Yeah, it's fixed, and then we can go back to the other options. See if you can click it. Try one.
Let's say I would like to book or amend. Did you see here that it says sending? At first it said sending, and then sending was replaced by customer.
Yeah.
But why doesn't it just say you
or why doesn't it ask in the beginning what's your name?
Yeah. And how would you like to be called?
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm not a customer.
And it's a conversation. Now. And also if you need to switch to a live chat, my name is Duran or your name is Endre.
Yeah. Book or amend a trip. Well, then there are 4 lines. Rediscover the joy of traveling and book your long-awaited trip now. Already booked, but you want to change your flight, select manage trips. If your flight was cancelled, select cancel flight. For a note for bookings made through travel agency or partner airlines, you'll need to contact them directly for help.
They're giving too much information. Just the buttons would have been enough.
Yeah, because I think it's always... this is more like the traditional way of writing content.
It's like a website.
On a website page. Hey, if this situation applies to you, then this is the answer. But if this is the situation that applies to you, these are the answers. Why don't you just ask which situation applies to you?
I think we should connect him to Wouter Slichter. He was in previous. He now lives in Vietnam. He's in the area. Just Wouter, if you're listening.
Wouter, hop on board. Let's fix this together.
Let's call Singapore Airlines. We'll tag him in the podcast.
Yeah, but select manage trip, select cancelled flights. Let's say book new trip. Yeah, it then says sending again. Did you see that?
Yeah, but it's really quick.
We can't welcome you.
Can't wait.
We can't wait to welcome you aboard. Explore destination, latest flight details, and make your booking by selecting
book now.
Yeah, book now. You can use availability.
It's explaining the buttons.
Yeah. You can use availability flight checks too.
Hold on, can you scroll back up a little bit? Because we selected book new trip. Why is it giving me all this information? I just want to book a new trip.
Yeah.
And then
flight credits.
And then which buttons come underneath? Book now, flight credits, more promos. Which, Okay.
Let's say book now. Okay.
And then it goes
now I'm going to a booking page.
And why is it taking me out of the chatbot?
Now there's a new tab that was opened.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say that it's opening a new tab.
Yep. It takes you out of the chatbot, takes you out of the conversation. Basically it's a guide on the website. It doesn't make my life easier.
No.
Because I could have gone to booking anyway.
Yeah, or it could have, what it could have done, say, okay, where do you want to go to?
And when? And fill out everything and then present the results.
Yeah, or maybe even in the first stage, we'll say, okay, now I'm going to take you to the page where all the options are being shown.
Or finalize the booking.
Finalize the booking, and then don't worry, I'll be there. I'll go there with you, so you'll keep on having access to me.
So the chatbots should stay on the page, also on the reservation, even though it opens a new tab, it should stay there.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's say, more promos.
Again, it takes us out of the chatbot to...
But here... Now, okay, we're being taken to a new tab once we click on new promos.
Try the chatbot, see what happens if it took the conversation or starting a new conversation.
Got a question.
Kept everything.
Not everything.
Yeah, go back up.
No. What it does... Yeah, that's strange. It kept the whole conversation that we had, but it also initiates, because here we were on the last tab,
Yeah.
but it also initiates a new one. Hello, I'm Chris.
And what happened if you go back to the previous tab where Chris is also open? And it does the same thing.
Yeah,
So
it opens a new conversation. It initiates a new session.
That's annoying.
Oh, by the way, Singapore Airlines will fix this for you, of course.
So
Now, that's strange.
What will they fix for us?
No, it's so easy not to start a new session once there is already a session active.
Yeah, it's not necessary. You're just confusing me.
Yeah. But that's what I would. Let's ask them. I would like to chat to a colleague.
Or to a live agent, so I would make it.
Yeah, let's do that. To a live agent.
See,
well, live agents. Sorry for the S.
If you're a Chris Flyer,
please log in for faster response. Alternatively, you continue as a guest.
Continue as guest.
Oh, the answer is, hey, did you see that? There was an answer. I would like to chat to a live agent. Then it gave us the instruction.
Yeah.
I clicked on the button, but the original answer disappeared.
It's weird.
Well,
we recorded all this, so we can look back.
Yeah. All our customer service representatives are currently engaged. We're able to attend you at the first moment for urgent assistance.
Here it's the same thing. They're making the same mistake as the Dutch chatbots. They're like,
for urgent assistance, get in touch with us here.
Let's see what happens. You go to
again. We're going contact page.
Going to a different page. It takes us out of the chat.
The page is loading and loading.
Yeah.
There it is.
Contact us. And then you get all the self-help resources. Yeah, this really doesn't help because I have to look hard how to contact them now.
Yeah.
And then the chatbot is still there. Let's see what it says.
It probably will start a new session as well. Again.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
It's keeping the same session. So there's no consistency in
when a new session is being initiated.
Well, it could be it's not a bad thing that they didn't initiate a new session here. But I mean, it's safe to say that here is some room for
improvement.
Oh, my hands are itching. Sorry.
No, it's interesting.
And it's not a disease.
No, not at all.
It's just, I see this and I'm like, they had a good start. The webpage is amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really good. They put a lot of effort in there. Kudos for that. But the chatbot, it's too complicated. They want to send too much information. Just give me the buttons and help me out. Be consistent. Don't open new tabs the whole time. Just guide me through the place where I want to go, what I need to do. Ask me data in the chatbot and put it ready and available in the ordering or the booking page. So it looks like it's separate from the back end. It's sort of a self-containing thing.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe if we go back to the situation where I can log in, what it does then. Just a moment, we'll take you there. So if I'm going to a login page now,
and then you have to.
I have to log in.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not a Singapore Airlines customer.
No, not yet. No.
After they give us the tickets, of course, we'll be loyal Singapore Airlines customers. Not paying though.
No, but what strikes me as well is at the start of this conversation we spoke about user interface challenges.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of I think there's a lot of effort put in the website. Well, even how Chris is being explained. But if we go to the chat interface,
it's old school.
It's old school.
It's too much. They're sending so much. They're firing so much at us. Well, you give them one question or a few words, and then it's like a waterfall of information.
Yeah, but not only exactly regarding the information, but also on the look and feel.
Yeah, I agree.
There is no consistency in how buttons are being used, for instance. There's no consistency in fonts. There is no consistency in, well, in general, in the look and feel of the conversational interface, if we compare that with the level of detail that is being put in the website.
Yeah, I agree. So, but the good news is it's fixable. If I look at the technology, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
What's that here? I see something underneath. It says privacy policy, website TNCs, and chatbot TNCs.
I think these are the three privacy policies that we accepted at the start.
Could you the chatbot TNCs?
Yeah, chatbots are
terms and conditions. It's interesting because why would you have terms and conditions for a chatbot?
I assume that
terms of use. It's interesting. Why would you have
I assume that the website, the terms and conditions, or the data, how the Chris processes data, couldn't be covered in the website terms and conditions.
Yeah, but there's for a product I use, I would assume I would have terms and conditions for a website. If you have terms and conditions for a website, that's weird.
Yeah.
Or maybe to local law, it's normal. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for us here, it makes no sense.
You agree that to be bound by these terms.
Yeah, check third-party agreements if you would like. On what does it say?
Facebook, mobile phone.
So it says here, third-party agreements, Facebook, your mobile network provider, and other third-party services or sites incorporated in Facebook Messenger or Google Assistant or linked to or through Chris have their own terms and conditions and privacy policies and practices. Your use of Chris will be subject to these third-party agreements or give these third parties access to your personal information, e.g., should you decide to add your Singapore Airlines Chris flyer membership number and personal credit card number and billing information for payment purposes to your Facebook account. Jesus, that's a long sentence. For purposes of purchases, it is your responsibility to review and accept the applicable third-party agreements before using Chris. That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's okay. If I read this, that's sort of whatever happens out there is not our problem.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
Singapore Airlines is not responsible for the security, accuracy, legality, appropriateness, any other aspect of the content or functions of Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Google Assistant, your devices, or third parties' products
or services that may be incorporated or linkable through Chris.
Yeah, Singapore Airlines is not responsible for. Yeah, should you have any inquiries? Yeah. So it only focuses on the third-party agreements of, your device, Facebook, Google, Google
but
Assistant.
Not on what they do. And could you check security? See what they say? It is your responsibility. Oh, that's already nice if they start like that. To maintain the physical security of your devices and the confidentiality of the information on your devices, including your Facebook account, Facebook Messenger, Google account, Google Assistant, and Chris. So how can I be responsible for the confidentiality of the information on Chris?
Yeah.
If you ask me something and I answer it, then how am I responsible?
What Singapore Airlines does with the data, or
I don't know. This is confusing.
Yeah.
This is interesting. It's actually, by the way, the first terms and conditions that I come across in a chatbot. I haven't, privacy, yes, but I haven't seen terms and conditions in any chatbot before.
No, so I think it's the good thing is that they make it accessible, pretty easy with at least the button. I think the way it's being presented could be optimized.
But it could also be local law. Eh? We're judging, but we're judging based on our Dutch knowledge, not on our Singapore law knowledge. So guys from Singapore Airlines, sorry, if you want to answer this or reply to this, that's fine, and enlighten us why you do it this way.
Yeah. But it's the good thing is that it indeed that it describes and what actually is being done.
So looking at it from the other way, it's a good example of how, as a chatbot provider or a company who uses a chatbot, you could inform your customers or the people who use it what happens behind the scenes, because that's also interesting.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good news and bad news. It's confusing for us, at least, but any international customer could use the website and book a flight on Singapore Airlines. At the same time, it's not a bad idea to have something like this for any chatbot. How do you manage data? How do you manage security? What happens with your data? Because when we tested the KLM bot, weird stuff happened. That was with Ivan from Campfire from Belgium. And we tested the KLM bot, and we had a VPN that was set to the USA, so we could test BlenderBot.
Yeah.
And then it sort of gave us the English side, whereas we're in Holland. And then we used WhatsApp, and it still used English, whereas he had a Belgium number. So it didn't make any sense at all what happened there.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, and it wasn't clear to us what they did with the data and how they interpreted that. And I think that's actually in this current time and age, it's actually a good thing to explain what you do with data and how a customer could benefit from that. And if he doesn't want it, then be anonymous. It's fine.
Oh, and what I've seen that different clients or different cases do have a link available to what is being done with the data that is being gathered. But what I've never seen yet is that the virtual assistant will guide the user through what the data policies actually describe.
It's actually an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
Do customers even want that? Or you could ask them a question. Do you want to know what we do with your data? Yes, no.
Yeah. Or
okay,
even
and
say,
we've logged it.
Yeah. Or do you want to read a whole, let's say,
terms
and conditions from written by a legal specialist? Or do you want me as a virtual assistant help you through the 3 main points?
So explain the highlights, and you can agree or not agree, and then the conversation ends. And if you agree, fine, we continue.
Yeah.
Interesting, Andre. This was very helpful.
It was fun.
Interesting. Yeah, it was fun because every time we do this, I'm still surprised by the amount of room there is for improvement. And that also tells us something where our field of expertise, our working environment is we're still at the start of something really, really huge.
Yeah.
I think if we do this again in 5 years' time, I think that this world at least, will be extremely different.
Hopefully it will.
Is there one last thing you want to, a statement or an advice you want to give to our listeners? And it could be 2 advices, one for C-level or managers, one for conversation designers, a thought that you want to, if that sticks, then you're happy.
Yeah, I think the 2 points. First of all is be open for newer things and be open for setting higher standards. Yeah, go for the best available thing.
But how do they know what's the best available thing?
Well, I think if you start with creating curiosity, that will help. And secondly, start with not accepting that we need to keep on working like we've been working with our clients in the last 20 or 50 years.
Isn't that the problem then? That a lot of companies translate the way we work now to an online way of working, which doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's the same if you have a form on paper and you translate that to a digital form and you make it an exact copy, it doesn't work.
No, absolutely. So I think that be curious, set higher standards, go for the best available scenario, and try to do new things. And
can I add something to that? And accept that you're going to fail, big time.
Sometimes, and maybe but one thing is certain: if you fail,
you learn something.
Absolutely, and with that learning, you'll create better experiences the next time.
So basically, failing is a good platform for growth.
Well, especially, of course, you'll come across challenges that you didn't expect, and maybe you'll make a wrong decision here and there. But making a decision is always better than not making a decision at all, or not doing anything, because you'll only learn by just starting to do things. And not starting is the worst possible scenario, I think.
It's a bit Nike. Just do it. Just
do it. Or let's say just start and then just see where you'll end up.
I think it's a good way to end our podcast for today. I really enjoyed talking to you, Endre. I hope you did it too.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure we can do this again in a couple of years or in a year time and see a huge amount of differences. So let's see what happens, and let's see if gemeente Tilburg and Singapore Airlines, if they respond, and then we'll handle the answers together.
Nice.
If someone is looking for you or your company, where can they find you?
Of course, on LinkedIn, Endre Davids, Endre.
I was going to say, you need to explain how to spell it.
Endre and then Davids with the D and S on the end. Okay. Or seamly.ai.
Very clear. Then if they want to find podcasters, they can, or you can look at YouTube or listen to us on Spotify. And thank you. This was the 10th broadcast.